What up, y'all? Welcome back to Culture Commentary. And today we have an entry into the Spirit Wars series. I wanted to highlight a historical perspective here. Came across my information desk recently, late last week actually. But this woman has been around for a while. This is old news. For those who know, they know. But for people who are just learning this information, I want you to just take it in and ponder the thoughts. A woman by the name of Louise Huepner. Louise Huepner, okay? Louise, last name Huepner. That's Huebner. All right? She was born March 22nd, 1930, and she died relatively recently. All right, just over a decade ago, September 1st, 2014. Now, this woman here is classified as an American astrologer, but it's much deeper than that. This woman was an actual real life witch who was accepted in society as a witch and was alleged to have cast spells over some prominent events in American history. All right. Even some civil rights events, it is said that she has something to do with. But let's take a close look at her. All right. Now, they have her as an American author of occult books, an astrologer, and the only officially appointed official witch in the entire world. Now, when they say officially appointed, I mean that the county government officials actually gave her a title, an item, and perhaps even paid her money to perform the duties of witchcraft. All right. She was given the title of official witch of Los Angeles County. All right. This is not a joke, guys. This is real. Okay. Now, she was given that title by the supervisor of the 3rd District of LA County in 1968 during a series of summer concerts sponsored by herself at the Hollywood Bowl in Hollywood, Los Angeles. Hollywood is, basically, it should be widely known that witchcraft, sorcery, and things of the occultic nature emanate from Hollywood and the surrounding areas thereof. Now, this is appropriate. Hollywood is known to be a witch's name. Now, I'm not going to mention the fact that the district supervisor over the District 2 right now, her name is Holly. Sheer coincidence? That's besides the point. Don't let me divert over to a different conversation. We're going to stay on track here, okay? Now, early life. Now, she was born in New York in 1930, and her career as a psychic began when she was 10 years old. She was that young. She gave palm readings at carnivals, and she's today what's defined as a hereditary witch, meaning she learned witchcraft from her grandmother and her mother, who both were witches too. And witchcraft goes back in her bloodline and in her family. Back to, we talking the Salem witch trials, witches that survived detection through all of that. Okay, into the present, she is the current she was the modern iteration of that, and she actually spawned a lot of followers, her own cult-like following, if you will. All right, now she was a 6th generation witch and a 3rd generation astrologer. Now, she studied from private tutors, and she was able to speak many different languages, including Latin, French, Italian, English, and Spanish. All right. Now, she moved to LA. She opened an office as an astrologer, and through the 1960s, she gained local fame in the LA County area as a psychic, and she was a frequent guest on radio and TV shows. They really marketed this woman. Okay, she was on KLAC from 65 to 69. Now, this is, mind you, the heart of the civil rights movement. All right. This is around the time that Martin Luther King was assassinated. This is towards the end of his life, the end of Malcolm X's life. This is at the heart of the Watts riots, and she was in the middle of these events. She was said to be spiritually in the middle of these events, even if she wasn't physically pictured at these locations. All right. Now, she was on the Johnny Carson show plenty times, and the Joey Bishop show. She was what was considered Hollywood attractive back in the day. So, being that she was a witch.
Red is the color of desire.
Well, I think a great deal of the witchcraft that the public is involved with and that they see is really just a form of perversion, sexual perversion on the part of the participants. I don't think it has anything to do with witchcraft.
Where is the true witchcraft?
I think the true witchcraft stems back into the Dark Ages, when man was very much involved in trying to assert himself in his environment, and the witches of the past were involved in helping people with medicinal activities, herbs, and so on. I think that's what true witchcraft is.
You described yourself as a rational witch.
Well, as rational, I think, as any creative individual can hope to be. I don't consider myself completely normal. I realize I'm abnormal, but I think of myself as intelligent, and I don't have an attitude of wishing to invade other people's privacy with wild predictions, as some of the psychics do. I'm not too terribly interested in that. Unfortunately, if you're in the public eye and you don't make predictions, you're considered a phony. You can be psychic as hell all of the time, but if you don't make a prediction about an earthquake or who's going to be the next president, you're not running out front.
You've written several books which have been very successful, and now you have a record album out about seduction through witchcraft.
Yeah.
This seems to be very profitable field.
Oh, it's very profitable for me, but then I think I probably would have had a good vocation if I was a witch or not a witch. You know, it doesn't really matter, does it? If you write, you write. Being a witch is a personal thing for me. It's the way I live my own private life. It's the way I attack my problems, my situations, my involvements.
Can you give us an example of that, how it would differ from, say, a normal person or some non-witch?
Okay, I think like a normal woman, if she was after someone and was wanting to interest him, would go about in all of the very normal ways of dressing attractively, making up properly, trying to please him. A witch, being abnormal, will get hold of a red candle and gaze into the flame and attempt to attract him, sometimes at distances of 8, 10, 12, 15,000 miles, by projecting herself, her psychic self, into his environment and drawing him back to her. The trick is to trigger the subconscious, and I learned to trigger it with the flame of a candle. Abnormal, but it works for me.
1 week before the spellcast took place, she was given a legal document, a certificate that stated she was designated, she was designed that way because of her supernatural powers. All right. The certificate was affixed with the county seal and was signed by the chairman of the board of county supervisors at that time, whose name was Ernest Debs. Now, on the day of the event, 11,000 people were at the Hollywood Bowl for the spellcast. Red candles, salt, and garlic were distributed to people who chanted all together a spell by Louise Huepner on stage. Members of the neo-pagan Wiccan movement were somewhat upset by Louise Huepner, for she was not a part of their emerging movement, and she tended to perpetuate what they felt were negative stereotypes of witches. Now, this woman, Huepner, she was married to a Hollywood player, all right, Mentor Huepner. That was, so, she took his last name. Now, his name was Mentor Huepner. Now, he worked in Hollywood, not as a director or a writer, but he was like a storyboard artist and just a general producer, production assistant, just a part of the team, if you will. Now, they had 3 kids and traveled back and forth to Europe all the time. All right, so she was widely known in Europe as well. Witchcraft was very prominent in these areas, and of course back east historically. Now, she traveled to Salem, Massachusetts all the time. They had a second home there, and they presented her with a broom to the city instead of a key to the city. Like, they really venerated her in what was historically considered the heart of witchcraft in the United States, Salem, Massachusetts. This woman wasn't playing about witchcraft, y'all. She produced a record album, 2 books, and a series of mini books for Hallmark cards. So she did work for Hallmark and everything. By the mid-70s, she had largely retired from public life, and she operated this antique shop in Pasadena. All right, so she was able to, basically live out her life in Pasadena. And this was very interesting. In the wake of the LA fires, I found out about this woman because Mel Gibson used the word purification when asked about how he felt when his house was burning down, when it was ablaze. And he said it was an odd sense of purification. And then this led me to this woman. And it reminded me of the fact that we are still at war in our cities, y'all. Stay vigilant. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time on Culture Commentary.